Hello, I'm going to give you an introduction to EDWaypoint, which is an Autohotkey program for light dangerous. It allows you to set waypoints and bookmarks in systems and allows you to plot routes to those waypoints and in the galaxy map. I'll go over how to use it, how to install the Autohotkey and this app, and give you a little rundown of some of the options. So let's go look on how to use it. So basically what this is, you have a couple different methods of choosing waypoints. The first is single system waypoints. You can store up to 10 of those and access them through the 0 through 9 keys. So control 0 through 9 will pick some of those waypoints. So let's start out and do control 1, and this will enter the system name of the box, go there, and plot a route to it. Let's try control 2. These are default configured to the PowerPlay capital waypoints, or capitals. Now this will operate in the different map modes. It didn't used to be able to do that. Because this menu used to move up and down depending on how much text was in this box here. And it'll even work in PowerPlay. I do find that you want to keep your scrolling of the galaxy map at the same location. This appears, the up-down location of this menu appears to be move around a little bit depending on your scroll, how far out you are. I haven't really pinned that down yet, but it seems if you leave the zoom in the same location, this will continue work for you. So that is control 0 through 9, picking locations to go to. Let's say I wanted to change, this was control 4, let's say I wanted to change that to another location. So if you do control shift 4, you'll get a little box here, and you can type into that, and let's type Seoul and enter. And this has now changed that waypoint. And now if you execute that, we'll go to Seoul. The other mode is multi-hop routes. So you can have a route, it's good for trade routes, it's good for multi-hop trade routes, it's good for a bunch of systems you want to remember. It would be good for an exploration plot like the distant world waypoints. Anything you want to remember, your mining locations. Those are operated through Control Alt 0 through 9. So if we do Control Alt 0, a little box will pop up. Let's try that again in the middle. A little box will pop up and tell you what route you've picked. And there's another one. This is another one that selected the PowerPlay capitals. So the way you activate these is you scroll through them progressively by doing Control right arrow. You go back in the list by doing Control left. You go to the first system in the list by doing Control up. And let's say I wanted to plot a route to another system and go there, you can do Control down to go back to the current waypoint in your route. So let's just, we've picked the planet Power Play systems again, so let's do Control right, and this should take us to the first system that I have plotted in that list. Now let's just go through the list a little bit. So we've gone forward 3 systems in the list. Now if I do Control left arrow, I'll go back to QView. Let's say I plot a route here manually. Now if I can do Control down, this should take me right back to QView. And Control up will put the first system name in the list. Notice I didn't put, oops, gotta wait until that runs. I didn't put a system name here. I use this often to just label some of my multi-hop routes with a name, so that when I pull up, oh, wrong button, Control-Alt-1, here I get Power Play capitals in that little box that pops up that tells me what route I just picked, so I don't have to remember which key it's on. So that's how those work, and those are the 2 ways I have of plotting different systems in the Galaxy. So now let's go look at how to install this. I'll have a post on Reddit similar to this. Here's where you get the application. It's in Pastebin. If you just download it, it will download as EDWaypoint.txt. You will need to change this to, where'd that go? You'll need to change the text to .ahk. I don't know why Pastebin won't use that. It recognizes AHK format files, but it downloads them as text. So that's where you get that file. You also need to download and install Autohotkey, ahkscript.org or autohotkey.com, I think. Download and install that. Now, this will need to be configured. It comes with, here's the one that I'm running right now. It creates an EDWaypoint.ini that contains a lot of the configuration data. So let's delete this one and start this up again. So this brings up a warning when it first starts. If you don't have a configuration file, it's going to ask you for a couple things. It needs to know the keys you use to use previous panel tab and next panel tab. My defaults are comma and period. I don't think that's, I'm not sure if that's the normal default, but a lot of people have different key maps for that. So you'll need to configure these later on when you actually try to plot your first route. Okay, we're ready to go. Now if we go back in here and go to the Galaxy map again. Now if I try to plot Control 1, it wants me to enter the previous panel tab key code. So if I do comma, now it's going to ask me for the next panel, press period. This will depend on what your configurations are, but enter those keys that you use to go forward and back in the GUIs. Now it's telling it, now it's what it's asking us to do is calibrate the positions of these buttons. So it needs the game running and it needs to be in the galaxy map, and it's asking me to press the middle mouse button when we're all ready to go. So I do that and we're starting the first step. It's going to take me to Lave and just leave the mouse there, it'll scroll there. Now what it's doing is it's asking me to configure where each of these three buttons are. The first step is center the mouse over this first one and press the middle mouse button. Same here for step 4. Same here for step 5. This will calibrate it for whatever screen you have and the positions those buttons appear. So now if I do Control 1, it will be working order again. And that's how the configuration works. If these buttons aren't appearing in the right place anymore, you can type Control equals, and that will initiate this process again. So now it's going to take me through it again. I'll just let it do that and do this quickly. And we're configured again. Now let's go look at some of, here is the default configuration file. Let's put some spaces in here. We just created this. And go through and show you what each of these configurations are. At the top here is the multi-hop lists. You can put up to 10 in here, root 0 through 9. The root number and the root index tell you which root you're in and the index you're currently set to. So if you enter and exit this application and when it comes back in, you'll still be at the last. It'll still have this, whatever you have selected last. The key map any part is for configuring the previous panel tab and the next panel tab. We should actually go in here and look at the options so we can show you where to find those if you're not sure. It is down here in interface mode, next panel tab and previous panel tab. So comma and period are mine. So those are those keys that will ask you right at the beginning of the configuration. These options are options for how the mouse reacts and what buttons it'll press. So do mouse lets it select a system. You could just have all the, if that's 0, it won't select a system, it'll just scroll to it. Select destination selects it as a destination, it won't plot a route to it. Plot route is the default set to 1, it'll just press the middle button and plot a route there. Plot system route will press the third button and take you into the system map and allow you to plot a route to a location in the system instead of just to the system. Move delay is how long this waits after scrolling to a location before it tries to plot a route there or do anything with the mouse. This, depending on your system and how fast it scrolls here, you can change this number to a smaller or larger number. That's in milliseconds. Mouse position. These are the calibration numbers that this plot is configured for each of the buttons. Key delays. This is how long it waits between pressing keys for Autohotkey. You can look up how that's configured in some of the Autohotkey definitions or manuals. If you have a slower system, you might want to increase these numbers a little bit. And down here, this last presets part are the single waypoint locations. So 0 through 9 plus the grav tilde. I use that as a home. That is one more single waypoint. At this point, I don't have a way of entering that. I could probably add that at some point, but I just typed this in. I never changed that one. And that is how this works. I have never tested this with anything other than my own screens. I don't know how this works in a multiple screen system. If you have issues with that, let me know, and I'd love to figure out how to help you. This latest video and update is due to a couple people asking me for requesting some information. So if you need help, please give me feedback. I've gotten little feedback, but it's certainly a tool that helps me. Thank you. Bye.